Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today is March 4th, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us, and I apologize for any inconvenience that was caused from the change in schedule from yesterday, but I'm glad you all are here. So I'm going to give a quick overview of what we have planned tonight, and then we'll get going. So we're going to be doing two different scenarios. One's going to be a traffic stop, and Boyd Adams will be the sheriff, and the gentleman behind the wheel that is pulled over is Christopher Hess. After that, we will have a role playing with the PKTF liaison approaching a sheriff in his office, and we'll sort of some dialogue back and forth and give you suggestions of what you can say if you are in the same exact role. Boyd Adams is going to be the PKTF liaison, and Christopher Hess will be the sheriff. So at the end, we'll answer any questions that you have. So, Boyd, are you ready to get going?
Assist.
Stopping you because you have a license plate on the back of your car that's not registered. It's not a state plate. You're required by law to have a plate on your vehicle registered with the state. What kind of plate do you have on your car?
It's actually a private property plate.
Mhm. Well, the state law requires you to have a license plate and register your vehicle with the DMV. So, could I see your driver's license? Do you have insurance? Do you copy your insurance? And do you
I'm
have a
gonna do this. This
registration?
is
Do you?
my credentials card. My wallet was actually recently stolen, and my driver's license was in there. But I did want to let you know that I'm not in a for hire or commercial capacity right now, and I do have insurance. Yes.
Okay. Could I see the insurance, please?
Here you go.
Right. Is your vehicle registered with the state?
No, it's actually brand new. It's within the
Okay.
60 days, so it's not registered yet. But I do have my bill of sale and registry or the title with me, if you
Okay.
like
Can I
to
see
see
that?
that. Well, it's behind me. I don't know if you
Mhm.
want me to reach behind and get it, but I can
Sure,
absolutely.
sure. I'll watch you. I'll watch you. You can go ahead and reach behind you.
Here you go.
Um, you just purchased the vehicle?
I did.
Okay. Means I don't have it with me in front of me, actually. When did you buy the vehicle?
December 13th on Idaho. So it was
All
an
right.
out-of-state purchase because I'm a resident in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. So the plate you have on your car is not it's a temporary tag, like from a dealer.
no, it's actually my private property plate.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
yeah, it's a just a
Um,
private plate.
got you. I got you. And for what reason have you not registered with the state?
I've been busy traveling with work and just haven't
Hmm.
got around to it, but that is on my list to do when I get back to my state.
Okay. Um, well, it's unlawful to be on the street right now, unless you have a actual tax sheet you buy for the car.
Say that one more time.
Did you buy the car from a private party or
No, I
dealership?
brought it from CarMax. Like I said, I have the bill of
Okay.
sale here, the title, all the registration
Hmm.
information right here.
Hmm. Right. The law might be different there, but in Louisiana, you have to have they issue a tip tag, and it's the only valid way they say. So
Yeah, and
that's why I
I've
asked.
lost that temp tag, and that's why I have the private property plate on there because I
Hmm.
figured it'd be better than not having anything on there.
Right. Okay. You said you had a credential card. Can I see that?
Absolutely.
All right. And what is the credential card for? What?
Well, if you scan that right there, you'll be able to
Mhm.
see all my documents. I'm actually an American and not a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and here you go.
So
It has
you're
all.
a sovereign citizen?
That's it. Very interesting you say that because no, I'm not. I think a lot of these people acting like sovereign citizens are trying to convey what I actually am. I am a sovereign living man. I have documents and paperwork to prove that to you on your record, stating that as an affidavit and attestation and everything
Hmm.
else. If you just want to
Okay.
scan that, the E-Verify code, it'll pull up all the information um,
Okay.
that you're required to, that you're inquiring about me.
Right. And how long ago did you lose your license that you haven't had time to get up? Are you
Uh,
aware the state
then
requires an
about
active driver?
Yeah, it's been about a month, but I've memorized my driver's license number if you want to take note of that. But I can give you my name and
Mm,
address. I was actually just stopped in Idaho last week, and they were able to locate it in the system. So I know it's active, it's not suspended. So if you would
okay.
like to pull that up, you can.
All right. Um, as an American state national, this is not a, I'm not the cop anymore. Um, we're not required to have a driver's license to travel. So,
Hmm.
a lot of people, I've gotten stopped before and I carry this around with me. I don't know if y'all can see it.
Yeah, I got the copy of your PDF your
Okay.
travel guide.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have it all in a binder and I hand it to the officer and they can keep it as their copy, but they never do. Um, so I mean, you did the right thing because they say don't poke the bear, but in all actuality, we don't need to provide a driver's license. We show them the credential card, and that's plenty enough.
It wasn't in Beverly Hills, I'll tell you that.
Really? How did that go for you? What happened?
He asked for my keys, and I
Hmm.
said, so what? Well, he said first when he approached the car, hey, the reason I stopped you is your license plate looks fake. Let me see your license and registration, um, registration or a driver's license to actually show that you can drive this vehicle on the road in the state of California. And I proceeded with this is my credentials card. My driver's license was actually stolen out of my wallet. Um,
Hmm.
but you can look up all my information there, and I did want to let you know that I am traveling and I'm not in a for hire capacity. Um,
Hmm.
he's like, okay, well, let me see your keys. I said, why do you need my keys? I'm not going to give you my keys. He said, well, I don't want you to leave. I don't want you to take off. I said, the engine's off. Um, the ignition, I mean, everything is completely shut off. I haven't showed you that I'm like aggravating in any way or hostile. So no, I'm gonna hang on to him. He kept asking me and asking me. Now, at this point, I'm on 4 hours of sleep. I've been traveling, like driving like crazy from Idaho to Beverly Hills. And and here I am in the Mecca. I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, like I don't know. I've never been in this situation. And
Hmm.
so my adrenaline was going. I was a bit nervous, and
Hmm.
he knew that I was nervous. And he says, "I could tell you're nervous." I said, "Well, yeah, I'm on 4 hours of sleep, and I really don't like being stopped like this and harassed." Um, and so he asked me if I had a weapon on me, and I said, "No, I don't." And that was thinking on my person, not wanting to freak him out. I know about the 10-round capacity in the magazine. However, I had my concealed carry right there in the door, single stack, 7+1, 9 millimeter.
Hmm.
And so uh, he proceeded to take the VIN off the car, also asked me for my name, and I gave him my name and address, just cooperating.
Hmm.
I also ended up giving in to giving him the key, and at that moment, I literally felt so exposed and like completely lost at that point.
Hmm.
Like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna drag me out of the car and then see my gun, when he opens the door? Or can I just play nice and just go along? And I'm on private property. So when he pulled me over, I was remembering, okay, pull onto private property so they can't impound your car or tow it, right? At least that was what I was thinking. Um, so then he ran my stuff and I heard dispatch say, yeah, Christopher Hess, driver's license 0413500693. And like I said, I memorized it. Then he comes back to me and says, yeah, we couldn't find a driver's license in the system. I said, well, that's interesting because I just heard your dispatch read you back 04135096 or 0693, my driver's license number, because I memorized it. He says, well, you got a good memory. And I said, yeah, I was just pulled over a week ago and they found it in the system. I know it's active, it's valid, it doesn't expire until August, my birthday, and you could see it right
Hmm.
there. He says, "Well, no, that's not right. We couldn't find one for you, but what we did find was a New Mexico state ID, and that's where my wallet was stolen." Which I said, that's impossible. I've never been a resident of New Mexico, but I go there often. But that's not where I'm from,
Hmm.
and so that was very suspicious. And he said, "Well, let me see that paperwork because I ran your VIN and it's coming back from Arizona." I said, "Yes, that is the previous owner. I have the title from Arizona with that man's name on it and my bill of sale and everything I need to register the vehicle and that I purchased the vehicle from CarMax right here, but it's behind me. And I know you don't want me to turn around, but I can get out and show you." And this is another place where I messed up. And so I get out, just trying to cooperate, just trying to get the hell out of there. And I'm very tired. And so I go to open up the back door. He's like, "Hang on just a minute. Come to the back." And his partner's there. He's a motorcycle cop, called another guy over. He pats me down, spreads me, and then he says, "Put your hands behind your back like a prayer or something." And then he puts me in cuffs and said, "You're not under arrest, you're just being detained." And I said, "Okay, why am I being detained like this when I haven't showed you that I'm hostile or trying? I'm very cooperative right now." And he says, "Well, because you're nervous, and I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you have any weapons on you?" And I said, "No, not on my person, but I have my concealed carry in the pocket of the door there." And, trying to be cooperative, right? And so he goes and opens it up. He says, "Well, now you're lying because I just asked you about a weapon." I said, "I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood because I'm on 4 hours of sleep here. I'm not trying to lie to you. I thought you meant on my person. No, it's not on me, strapped. It is in my door pocket. I have a concealed carry for the state of Colorado, you know." And so then he said, "Well, is it loaded?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Well, you're under arrest." And I said, "For what?" And he said, "You cannot have a loaded firearm within arm's reach in the state of California." And so then he was going through everything, and this is where it got interesting because he asked me twice if he can search my vehicle. And I said, "Well, why do you need to search it?" He says, "Well, I just want to know if you have other weapons." I said, "I don't have any other weapons." He's like, "Can I search it?" I said, "Sure. Go ahead and search. I'm already in cuffs. Go ahead and search it. You're going to
Hmm.
see I have nothing. I just told you I have the gun. You already put me in cuffs. And I know you're not going to find anything." And so then, and again, keep in mind, this is my first time this ever happened to me in my life, right?
Right,
So
right.
failed miserably. Um, so then
So
he
you,
said,
you actually
huh?
didn't do anything wrong. I mean,
No, I
their
mean,
entire
what crime
system
has
is
been
flawed,
committed? I
you
mean,
know.
and again, like,
Hmm.
yeah. So anyways, he goes over, looks at, gets the gun with his partner and everything. I'm explaining like I didn't know this. I have a concealed carry. I have all my papers there. You need to run my card and pull up my documents, but they're going through my travel binder. I have certified
Hmm.
copies of all my 928s and fee schedule. They called for a transport cop. He was the reasonable one. He used to live in East Texas, grew up in Northern California, moved back, works for Beverly Hills Police. He was going through here. He's like, "Man, are you sure you're not sovereign?" I said, "No, I'm an American. I have an authenticated birth certificate I could show you. I'm an American on the land and soil of Texas. I'm not a sovereign citizen, but I'm a sovereign man, free man under the
Hmm.
laws of my creator." And he was
Right.
intrigued. The other one, I had an ILB card, which I know some of you guys know in Nevada. But I had because that shows my private property code that validates my private property and my plate on my vehicle, on my automobile.
Hmm.
And so I showed him that, and the guy who put me in cuffs, the guy who wanted to arrest me, his partner said, "Independent living being," like, just kind of like, "This is ridiculous," like, huh, kind of chuckling. But the other guy was like, "Man, I'm intrigued," as he's flipping through and going through the fee schedule. So
Hmm.
he's been noticed. And then he tells me as I get put in the car and he was about to leave, he said, "Bro, I'm sorry about this." He's like, "Dude, if it was me, I would have told you, man, just put it away." But this is a weird scenario. You got your plate, you don't have your driver's license, but then they found it in my door pocket. And this is the thing that I wanted to tell you is, I guess it wasn't. My wife found it at the house and put it in the
Hmm.
car in the door pocket, like in the handle under some other cards that I didn't know about. And so we found it together and said, "Well, here it is." And I said, "Well, there you go. Run it through your system. You're going to see it." And then he found my expired passport. And I said, and I did let him know before I got out of the car that I do have an expired passport. Like, I'm in the process of getting my new one. And so then
Mhm.
he pulls that out and looks at it. He's like, why didn't you tell me about this? I said, dude, I told you I'm in the process of getting a new one. And plus, you're going through all my stuff now. So, I mean,
Yeah.
sure. But there you go. Run everything. You're gonna see I'm not a felon. I'm a law,
Mhm.
I'm just a lawful person.
Yeah.
And um, so then he transports me and he stops the guy. He's like, hang on, what is this? And it's a it's a bag of creatine and some sea salt in another bag. And I'm like, bro, that is creatine and that's sea salt. That's Celtic sea salt. Like, and I give him that eye look. I'm telling you. And so I'm like, my God, what a nightmare. And so we go get transported into the jail. The guy's like, dude, hopefully this only is like 2 hours. They didn't want to fingerprint me until 5 hours. Then I go through that against my will. Now I know how to sign stuff in the jail, like TDC, threat, duress, and coercion,
Mhm.
all rights reserved.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't want to sign anything. But I guess after they printed me against my will, and I should have said, the fingerprints are my property. If you want them, you're going to have to steal them.
Mhm.
Get that on the record. Same with images, same with the eyes. They took pictures of my eyes. So just like in the
What?
fee schedule with retina scans, I was just like, oh my God. So there I am in the system. I just want to get the hell out of there, get back to my babies. I've been on the road for 21 days away from my family. Just want to
Mhm.
get the hell out of this hellhole. So so I'm just cooperating and trying to do the best I can. But then they had me sign something at the end, and that's when I knew that like this was all voluntary. I didn't have to give in to this. And
Mhm.
so yeah, that was my time. I asked them if they can move me into a different cell, because it's a bit small and I'm getting claustrophobic, and they let me go to a different cell, gave me a towel, a blanket, a sheet, toothpaste, toothbrush, some shampoo and soap, and said, yeah, go down the hallway. And we moved into a different cell. Then he said, hey, yeah, I'll keep you posted. Usually probably going to take 3.5 hours to run everything. Everyone's going home now. It's like 6 p.m. on a Saturday. I said, okay. Then he brought me dinner, trying to be wise. Maybe some of you may get this, but I asked for the
Mhm.
kosher meal because I didn't want to get poisoned. And so they brought the kosher meal, tasted like crap. Um, Asked me to call my wife because my wife ended up locating me, charged me $9 to connect the call. Then he
Jesus.
came back and said, hey, just to let you know, we did hear, but we're going to keep you until Tuesday until you go before a judge. I'm like, 3 nights in here, bro? Like, what am I going to do? I'm away from my 2 children, my wife. Like, this is our car. Like, you guys impounded it. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I got a business to run. And sorry, man, we just got to wait for a judge. So I make peace with it, call the wife. She's contacting everybody on California, Idaho, Marshall at Arms, Continental
Mhm.
Marshals, Bobby, AHA, all them. And so everyone's on notice now. And so now I feel a little bit better. Like, not much I can do. It's out of my control. I'm just gonna lay here and fall asleep. And I did.
Mhm.
Then at 2 a.m. they come in and open the door and said, hey, are you Christopher Hess? I said, yes. They said, the judge sent for your release order, so I'm going to go ahead and get your release processed. I said, what time is it? They're like 2 a.m. I was in dead sleep, man. I'm like, what the hell is
Mhm.
open right now? You could at least let me sleep. But I'm like, let me get the hell out of here.
Right.
So I go, they give me my stuff. It's 2:45 in the morning, and I say, dude, it's just like the movies. They open up the side door and the sidewalk's there. And I said,
Mhm.
bro, where am I going to go? It's 2:45.
Yeah.
Nothing's open. Dude, you're in Beverly Hills. You'd be fine. And then just shuts the door. And I'm like, all right, nearest thing was Beverly Hills Hotel. I walked there. Didn't I was thinking maybe a few $100, and they want $1,500 for a room. Plus, I couldn't check in for an
Oh my
hour. So I
God.
said, fuck that, dude. And so
Mm.
so that was that story, man. And then my car was an impound. President's Day was on Monday. I had to wait. I wait for Tuesday, call the messages, couldn't get through to anybody. The detective then I hear that I have to be assigned to a detective and a sergeant has to do that. They haven't done that. So I have to go all the way back. My wife has a friend out there, stayed on their couch for 9 days until I
Mhm.
got this situated. But I went back on Wednesday, spoke to the sergeant, and he asked me about my plate and everything, and I knew how ridiculous this was, and he thought so too, but he says, "I just have to
Hmm.
assign it to a detective." Well, he assigns it to a detective that's off that entire week, and of course, my car is an impound. They're making some dough, and didn't get a hold of it till last Monday. And she said, "Oh yeah, sorry about that. You're on my list to call." She answered right away when I called. And she said, "Yeah, I released your car, so you can go pick that up. And but you know, you just have to have proof of registration, and that's the whole process that they asked for. That I had to get it registered, so I had to send my all my paperwork over. They would not accept my bill of sale. They would not accept everything. Like I had to overnight everything to my wife. Had some family go to the DMV as a power of attorney, get everything registered back to me. It was this whole freaking nightmare, dude. It was like $4,500 expense said and done with everything. So, and I'm still without my weapon. And Beverly Hills is there. And then I hear that they're most likely going to drop the charge. So two misdemeanors. That was a citation given to me by the officer who released me from the jail. So it wasn't even the officer who arrested me. And there are two misdemeanors, one for having a loaded weapon in public, and the other one for having a gun in public. And so,
So
yeah, but
they're
if I
gonna
was in LA
dismiss it.
County, say that one more time.
They're gonna dismiss it, I'm sure, because it's
Yeah.
they have no
Yeah. And they
jurisdiction.
said if it was in LA County, they would have dismissed it right away, but it was Beverly Hills. They got nothing to do except respond to vandalism calls.
Right.
So, you know, but what I have learned is that they have very interesting politics there. I've been a lot of research, and their city is one of the most secure cities in America, probably outside of in the US, outside of DC. They've worked with the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, and have like this not smart city, but there are cameras everywhere that track your license plate and where everyone is at any point in time, whether you're a criminal, felon, they run everything
Yep.
through this automated system. They have drones that they go for burglary calls, and there's an officer in the office working with drones and smart technology to like
Yeah.
make sure everything's fine. So I had no idea what I was walking into. So
It
that's what
might
happened. And
it might be the safest city, but a lot of people's rights are violated also, like
oh, it
yours.
was the most unsafe city for us, I'll tell you that. I
Yeah.
mean, seeing
Yeah.
the peace flag, they instantly wanted to go after and see if I had AK-47s or whatever in there,
Jesus
you know.
Christ.
So, yeah. But anyways, that was my story. 13 and a half hours in jail, 14.49 to get my car out of impounds, and had to pay 3 grand in taxes and registration fees to the state of
I sure
Colorado.
hope you make them pay the bill.
Would be nice. I didn't serve them my fee schedule. However, I think that transport officer was noticed because he was going through my
Hmm.
binder.
Yep, you
I
gave
just
it
want
to
to
them,
do
let
it the
them see
most.
it.
You what?
You gave them the binder with the fee schedule, then they're served.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they voluntarily picked it out of my vehicle as well, or my car.
Hmm.
Um, So I've noticed along this process, I mean, sitting in jail, you know, you're thinking like, what the hell? Like none of this shit works. They think I'm a joke. There's like a billion of them and like two of us. They got full auto, you know, guns, and we're supposed to lock our guns in the back and leave ammo somewhere else.
It's
It's like,
ridiculous. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
it is. So
You know,
a lot
the
of doubt entered my mind. And then the help on California wasn't it was very interesting. It was like very old school and just like no one's gone through this before. And that's the most
right,
frustrating thing is
right.
we're all guinea pigs. And you think that getting your 928s is bulletproof. And so speaking to a few justices, they were saying that you know, depending on who you are and how you handle yourself, a 1779 can take you much further, and your papers don't do you anything unless you know how to use
Mhm.
them. And so that's
If
why
you
I'm here on this call to practice, because most law enforcement officers, Leos, think that it's a joke. And the guy I was staying with on the couch, his best friend was a ex LAPD that now lives on
Mhm.
Arizona, very conservative. And I was going over the scenario, and he called this guy's wife that I'm staying with and said, "Hey, I just want you to be careful. This guy sounds like a sovereign citizen, and I just want you to be careful. Like this could be weird." Comes back to the guy I was staying with, and his wife tells him that he's like, "Dude, are you telling me Chris?" Like, no, man, I know this guy. And so it's just that's the training, as you know, Boyd. That's the
That's
training
right.
these Leos
That's
were
right.
getting from the de
That's right.
facto that were
It's
crazy. And look what
Mhm.
happens in Utah. Another guy gets shot and unloaded with what? For what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and so that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, we have to be strategic. We got to be almost diplomatic in our own unincorporated way when handling this and presenting this. Like, this can't be peace and
Sir.
grace, just, let's approach
Yes,
it
sir. That's
casually
right.
and wear whatever. Like, we got to look the part. We got to look Ivy League. We got to meet them face to face and let them know, like, we're business. And we know what we're talking about, but you're going to learn about what jurisdiction we're in and
Mm-hmm.
educate them. And so that's why I'm looking forward to meeting with the de facto and doing this liaison role,
Yes,
as
yes.
I'm a
And
continental
that's where
marshal.
that's what's going to help the change. That's the most important part is meeting with the sheriffs and the sheriffs getting the word out to their police chiefs and all their officers and deputies. That's a good meeting, a good introduction is the answer, I believe.
Mhm.
Unless Trump announces that they all go home and they're going to be replaced or whatever. Um,
Yeah, I mean, and then I've heard some crazy stuff today that he may be the president of the United States of America tonight after the
mhm,
State of the Union address. I mean, these are Q people, which are
mhm,
very like I'm trying to comprehend some of the stuff, and it's hard.
mhm.
But
It's very, very difficult, but it's very,
cognitive
very,
dissonance, yeah.
it's very, very difficult, but it's very real. I
Hmm.
can tell you that. That's a whole nother story. But um, I I got a press release today that's going to be. I don't know when it's going to hit the press. It might be tonight. Trump's talk. Um, all sheriffs, police chiefs, mayors, elected officials, government officials, whatever, if they've committed crimes against humanity, like violating people's rights, they're caught and are going to be arrested. Judges, everything. Um, because we are under common law. We're not under Admiralty Maritime law.
Hmm.
And it's going to be announced to all of them, and they all have to step down, is from my understanding. And I mean, I saw the original press release, so they all have to step down. That's why we're under military control. They say um, martial law, you know, some type of martial law right now for the
Hmm.
military to keep peace. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting in the coming days. What's going to happen? But I see
Yeah,
them all going away. I do. I mean, they're unlawful. I mean, every
I
state
get it, but
statute is just null and void.
they're also ammunition and
That's correct.
guards
That's
for the
correct.
de facto. And
That's correct.
he's all pro blue this, pro blue that, and I don't know. I mean, I
He
don't know if.
was he
Go
was
ahead.
pro blue because he's running for election.
I get that.
He
I get
has to do that, because there's a lot of cops and they have a lot of family. You
that.
know,
And
they
these
say
cops, they're just like us. I mean, I
yes,
know a
yes,
lot of them.
yes,
If they were
yes.
getting paid as a sheriff on land and soil, they would do it. They
That's
would do
correct.
it
They
100%.
will, and they will. They
However,
will do it.
yeah, but Mac versus Prince, I think that it shouldn't be an option for the sheriff to recognize
Correct.
both land and
Correct.
soil and us and have the option. No, it needs to be like, no, this is who we are. You need to put that hat on when you come across us.
Mhm.
And so that's what's missing. So I don't know. But
Well, and the change that's coming, and I believe Anna said it too, that um, the de facto is going away. That's what's going to happen. That's the long term um, what we want to happen, and it's going to happen.
mhm,
And I think the beginning is going to be tonight. I mean, Trump's doing a state of speech or something tonight at 8 o'clock,
mhm,
um, where it's going to be like history in the making, which is great. It needs to be. The people need to know. We
yeah,
know, but they don't know. 80% of the population has no clue, which is crazy to me,
yeah.
but it's true. Um, and when they learn what we know, it's going to be like, wow, it's going to be a wake up call for everybody and for
It is,
policemen
and
too. I
it
was
is.
arrested 6 months ago. It's ridiculous.
Do you have your
Um,
HR 218?
was that?
Do you have your HR 218? No? Okay.
No.
Okay. One of the guys,
Um,
ex-cop, he was the ex-LA SWAT commander from '01 to 15. knows all about what we're
Hmm.
talking about. Of course, he hasn't papered up.
Hmm.
Great guy to talk to, and he just gave me an HR 218, which is I guess there's a civilian one too, he said. But it's for ex law enforcement or current law enforcement that they can conceal carry in all 50 states.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and that was
That's
passed by Bush in 2004.
yeah.
Um, and so he sent me the card. It actually just came in today, and he backdated it to the 14th of February, and I was arrested on, well, now
Yeah.
this is all public knowledge. So
Right. Louisiana law says that they can carry for after retirement in
yeah,
all 50 states. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me
the
jump.
meeting with the sheriffs, the meeting with the sheriffs that's the most important. That's what we're going to get into right now, I believe.
Hmm. Okay.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Well, Louise has a question, and we weren't going to take questions, but Louise is special. So we'll go
Yeah,
ahead
she is. She is very special.
and answer her question, then we'll go on to the second scenario.
Okay.
Thank you. Before we move off of this one, I wanted to know, one, can you think of a scenario that Chris could have done that would have increased his chances of going home that night? And two, is anybody on this call who has been at a stop and actually did go home? What was your scenario?
The I mean,
Thank you.
when you get stopped by a de facto, you should have a packet together, like a travel packet or whatever, and the laws are clearly stated in there. Several Supreme Court cases, and you make it clear and you show them, say, look at this, you know, Alabama versus whatever says that you don't need a driver's license. Well, here it is, right here. You can look it up, Google it on your phone, you'll see it. Um, and just stress that, and in this Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, we're not under their jurisdiction, period. And there's no questions or two ways about that. It's what it is, it's in black and white. And at least they're told and they're noticed. And if they violate it, shame on them, But I mean, I've stopped sovereign people before, I almost said citizens before, and I've released them. I've looked at their documents. But at the beginning of my career, I've stopped and I've arrested them because I told them they were crazy. Because that's what the FBI taught us to do. So I think that just showing them the evidence, as much evidence as you can to show that you are who you know who you are, and you do not live under their jurisdiction, it's unargued. They can't argue with you. I mean, if it's in black and white, they can research it from their computer in their car, their phone, whatever, and see that you're telling the truth. That's my recommendation.
Mhm. And real quick, guys, I'm gonna grab my charger. I'll be right back.
Somebody said in the
Okay,
chat
sir.
that they went home from a stop. Who was that? Is that Neethi?
I was stopped, yeah.
I can say this. I've gone home from multiple stops. It all depends on the asshole in uniform. Some of them one of them
That's
put me
correct.
in jail. Other of them let me go. One time I ran a red light in front of a multi-lane traffic stop. I ran a red light because I was tired of waiting. Immediately there was a cop behind me. I told him the story, and he looked at me and he said, at the end, he said, I want you to obey the traffic lights, and right now I want you to go home. I said, okay. And he drove away, and so did I. It all depends on the asshole in the uniform and his mood that day. That's what it is.
It's the truth. It is right. They think they're following the law. I mean, their law book
Yeah,
says
exactly.
they can do that. So, and they just, that's all they know. It's still in their head,
And,
you know. Police Academy,
and
they're
here's
not taught
another.
one thing about the Constitution. I know I wasn't.
The police stations train them that the police are, and by the way, introduce myself, Rob Taylor. I did 22 years as an Army officer,
Mhm.
as an executive, okay, which means I put people into the brig. I sent two people home from the Army. I made decisions, okay, and then the second half, I was Department of State attaché, at the federal level, advising ambassadors in the Africa region. I did helicopter flying. I flew the UH-60 Blackhawk for anybody who's in the military. So I've been there, done that. I tell the police if they try and, I mean, people that arrest me, I tell them I'm more police than they are. I have that Leosa card that allows me to carry concealed in all 50 states like a retired policeman because I've been through all the training in the military. What I found is the police are the corporate military. That literally the police are the corporation's military to defend their traffic statutes, which are their traffic statutes for their underwriting for insurance. That's what all the traffic laws are for. It's for their insurance underwriting. Okay, that's all. And the police are the enforcers of that. That's their main job, is to police traffic. Okay,
That's correct.
but so thank you. So the police literally, they are then undeclared civilian military, and a military always has an enemy. We are its enemy. How about that, right? We are the fucking enemy of the police. It's not stated, but if we look at it, that's the way it is, and we have to understand that. I yield. There you go.
And that is very well said and very true.
And hence
Because
why I
that's
was
what they're
so,
taught.
you
That's what they're
know,
taught.
and I was so agreeing and like peaceful with the officer, you know,
And you should be.
because he knows that, and I'm in Beverly Hills. Like I didn't watch that Utah video before this happened, but like, you know, I had several justices like the one in Idaho, Dustin Bergman, who said, dude, luckily you weren't shot, you know, because he couldn't believe what happened. But I didn't think it was that bad because I was cooperative. I mean, we're peaceful, right? Non-combatant. I'm like, dude, I don't mind sending a true bill if it comes to that, you know. I just want to
Like
get out.
That's right. Like Anna said many times, don't poke the bear. You know, you can always fix them with a pen and paper, you know, and you'll be good. It's just inconvenience for a little while.
Yeah.
All
But
right, we have a
hopefully,
couple other people. Oh, sorry, Boyd. We have a couple
No,
other
no,
people
that's
with
it,
their
I'm
hands up. Okay, if I'll, three that have their hands up, we'll talk to you real quick. If you can keep it short, so we can go on to the next scenario because it's getting late and we're gonna go past our time. But Troy, do you want to go ahead and ask your question or let us know what
Yes,
experience you've
yes,
had?
yes. Thank you, guys. So I support police, but I don't support bad police. That's the first thing. I also don't support the our flag being changed. I don't support the blue line on the flag. I never voted for that. I never asked for that to be done. If our military wears that flag, the police should be wearing that flag too. I've been pulled over, and this was when I was on my Harley. I have no plate on it. I don't ride with plate. I was pulled over. I gave my credential card. Maybe it was close to the end of his shift, but he said, fuck that. I'm not dealing with that. And he let me go. Now, I have commercial trucks and everything like that. They're not commercial, but they're F-350s. I wouldn't do that in that. I would not drive without a plate or an American State National plate or anything like that because it looks like I'm in commerce. The other thing is many, many people have to start to realize what our 928s do. If you guys have not been to Eugene's trainings, Christy Leeper, Doug's trainings, you guys need to go. The fee schedule is just your public announcement that you have a fee schedule, but there's no contract there. You have no contract with them, and they have no contract with you. They think they have a contract for, with you because they presume or assume different things of you. But the thing is that if you guys go to Thursday calls with Christy and Doug, you will start to comprehend that there is a notice out here that is called the Criminal Information Claimant Notice of Liability. And this is, in the form of an affidavit. And this is an offer to contract, okay? You're sending it to the Secretary of State, okay? And you are putting them on notice that if they want to contract with your vessel or any derivative of your name that's depicted in your certificate of assumed names, because if you guys don't know, your certificate of assumed name acts as your DBA. You're doing business as any derivative of this man or woman. And that gives you the ability to conduct yourself in commerce. But as men and women on the land and soil, you are coming back to commerce in a form of trade. So you're approaching this in law merchant versus merchant law. It's all mercantile law. So everybody needs to comprehend what's going on. But if you use this criminal information claim and notice of liability, you're giving them an offer to contract. And even if you never need this, it works as like an insurance policy. It's there in the event that you need it. So if they agree to the terms, it's all depicted in there. Is what is called the menu. It's 14A, 14B, 14C. And there's only 3 monetary values that come with it. They don't respect your status and standing being outside their jurisdiction. They agree to a true bill of $10 million. And then the second one is the use of your name because you own that name. And the third one is any inaction, action, assumptions, assuming that you're a sovereign citizen, any of that, that's $100,000. And that is 100% enforceable other than just a fee schedule that we made a public notice. When you serve notice to these guys and they acquiesce, that becomes contract, that becomes default judgment. So I encourage everybody to get your criminal information claim and notice of liability, send it out, priority mail, get your tracking, put it on the LRO. And with that, I yield. Thank you,
Is
guys.
that do you go by Bob or Troy?
I go by, my friends call me Bob, but my government name is Troy.
All right, Troy or Bob. I've actually sent that. I was one of the first with Nico in Colorado to send that latest revision back in late April last year. And I sent that to the state of Wyoming. I sent it to Chuck Gray, the Secretary of State, also the Circuit County Court in Rawlings, because I got pulled over for speeding. It was 3 days into being papered up, and they acquiesced. I sent 3 within 14 days to both parties. And I noticed when I logged in, my ticket was still active to pay. I called up the county clerk and she said, yeah, well, you know, you haven't, you didn't write not guilty on your citation that you sent back and with your paperwork. And I said, well, I'm innocent. I don't need, I'm completely outside of your jurisdiction.
Right.
And you guys acquiesced and accepted as truth my notices that I sent to you
Right.
with notice of
See, there's
liability.
even easier ways to actually fight this, like criminal information claim and notice of liability. We would actually put them on notice first. Like if you got a ticket, all you have to do is like we have some new guys coming from the Pennsylvania Assembly that has made this 100% so easy. Okay. When you look at a ticket, you can see 2 jurisdictions. It's like putting puzzle pieces together. You grab 2 highlighters, you take one highlighter and you go through and you do all capital letters. You take the other highlighter and you go through and you do like, you know, like people, titles, judge, prosecutor, county clerk, you know, the city, the state, the court. You do all that in upper lowercase. So what the thing is that all caps, that's UCC, that's Universal Commercial Code. And that's what every municipal court is out here doing because they are fining you. They are collecting FRNs. So that's the Clearfield Doctrine. Anna's told us all about it. But the thing is that on the other side, the upper lowercase, that's UCMJ. That's Uniform Code of Military Justice. And at that point, you're impersonating a military officer. And that's some big shit right there to get into. So all you do, go through, highlight the 2 jurisdictions, then you send, you send a notice with your Foreign Sovereignty Immunities Act, your certificate of assumed names, criminal information claim and notice of liability, and your deed of reconveyance. I don't do the fee schedule anymore because they didn't agree to it. Yeah, I can make a public, knowledge of it, try to send you something for $10 million. But when I send you an affidavit, you acquiesce, you agreed to the terms. That now becomes default judgment. So it comes back to the 10 maxims of commercial law. And like I said, everybody, go on these Telegram groups, find Doug and Christie, come to those meetings on Thursday. I have a meeting, with the Michigan Assembly. Everybody's invited to that. We do that on Friday. And then Eugene is actually, Eugene Pang with the Pennsylvania Assembly has teamed up with Arkansas, and they're doing it every day. So if anybody doesn't comprehend what's going on right here, everybody on litigation in every state, super connected. We're trying to find remedy and a way to actually assert our rights as Americans. And the one thing I will say before I yield is anybody that's out here going around and you're traveling without the plate, be careful. I mean, I live in Detroit. I'm not going to do this because they automatically pull the guns out.
Mhm.
You know, they issued a warrant for me over child support arrears, and my son's been living with me for 6 years. So they sent a SWAT team to my house with about 40 officers. Luckily, I got out of there and everything, and all that. But I served the notices. I did the liens, so I'm very knowledgeable of that part. But there's a different way to deal with this. Do not stand on the roadside and try to argue with these guys because it gets nowhere. Yes, sir. No, sir. Excuse me, sir. Thank you, sir. And then deal with them like our forefathers did with our pens. You know, children want to scream and holler. Men and women, grab your pen, write a notice, and take them to lean. I yield.
That's it. That's it. That's the
Okay,
perfect way to do it.
Lori, do you have a real quick question? Otherwise, we need to move on.
Yeah, it's a real quick question.
Okay.
I was stopped the other night. It's been a while now, but the officer came to my window and asked if I knew why he stopped me, and I said no. And well, he said, the reason I stopped you is I've never seen a temporary tag like yours, and I have a Z plate on my car. And I said, well, that's not a temporary tag, that's a permanent tag. I'm not a US citizen. And he said, oh, okay, well, driver's license, registration. I said, okay. I said, I've been moving, I've lost my driver's license, I don't know where it is, but here's my passport. So he goes back to his car and comes back, and my question is, well, I'll get to the question in a second, but he comes back and he hands me the passport. He said, okay, sorry to bother you, good night. And I was like, whoa, I have never had an officer apologize to me for bothering me. And I was like, was that the passport? Because I did have it. I got the passport last year as the Copper Moonshine Stills procedure
It's the
thing.
passport.
So
It's
what?
the passport. Yeah, say
It
it's
is
the
the
passport that yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because when I first got the passport, I was like, I don't know if I hope I did it right, you know. Um,
Mm.
but now I know. I guess I did do it right.
I need to talk to you, Lori. I'm going to call you after this call. If you want.
Okay, no problem.
Great to know, Lori.
All right, Kathy.
Yeah, so
All right.
everybody get your passport and do that because it was pretty good. I was
Mhm.
surprised.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so let's go. Are you guys okay with staying, going on to the second one? Boyd and Christopher? I know it's late.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good, okay. All right. So
I'm
the
with
second
my
one is
people. It feels good. I'm not in jail.
yeah, there you go. It's always a good
Yeah.
thing when you're not in jail.
Yep.
All right, so Boyd, you're going to be our PKTF Assembly Liaison, and
Mhm.
you're going to be approaching our sheriff, who is now Christopher, who's the sheriff in town.
Mhm.
And this will be like if the liaisons are walking into an office, and maybe a cold call or someone they're familiar with, but this person is not familiar with what we do, and we're just going to show you how that conversation may happen. So, all right, go ahead.
Whenever I meet with the sheriff, I have a packet put together. I'm gonna just say what I do before I go to the meeting. I have a packet put together with the Constitutional Sheriff's Handbook in it. I also have my 928s, fee schedule, the and several travel packets, travel documents, and all that stuff. And what I do is I walk into the sheriff's office. I schedule a meeting first with the secretary, and I walk in and introduce myself, tell him I'm with the Louisiana Assembly, which is one of the 50 states of the Union on the land and soil jurisdiction, and advise him, I'm not sure if you're aware, and just make small conversation. They'll usually start asking questions like, what's the Louisiana Assembly, and I'll go into detail and tell him we also have a Jural Assembly. The Jural Assembly is responsible for the court, common law court on land and soil, which is the superior jurisdiction. And I mean, we just go through the whole spiel. It's hard to do it. He's gonna have to ask me questions. I want him to ask questions instead of me just saying. Um, the one sheriff that I met with told me, he says, explain to me how you're not a sovereign citizen. And how did he say that? He said, how are you not a sovereign citizen? Because you talk like a sovereign citizen, and you people are not safe, or in other words, we were violent. And I said, well, we're not sovereign citizens. We are sovereign men and women. We're far from being violent. We're very peaceful. Our movement is completely peaceful. And I'll always throw in President Trump. I said, if you look at President Trump's 1776 report, he had a crew, a committee put together, and they did a report on 1776, because we're going back to that law now. It's happening. And that's why I'm here to see you, to explain this, because it's not being reported in mainstream media. And it's just going to happen overnight, and you'll be aware of it. I'm giving you a heads up. This is what's going on, very peaceful. And then I'll bring up, do you remember Trump's inauguration when he was first elected, when he says we're giving government the power back to the people? Well, the Louisiana Assembly is the people. That is where you connect to your federal government, through the Louisiana Assembly. Back to 1776, when it originally started, and till it was corrupt, and then I'll go into the detail about de facto and the two jurisdictions. And I have proof of everything I tell him, because when I'm telling him, when I'm reading him, or from memory, I'll talk to him about the Sovereign Immunity Act. I'll give him the Sovereign Immunity Act so he can kind of look at it while we're talking. And I've never had an unsuccessful meeting. They're good. And
Okay. Let's role play it. Let's do
three
it.
sheriffs in Louisiana. I believe there are 3 sheriffs in Louisiana that have changed already. They're making changes in their agency. It's pretty good. So, and they're starting to learn it. I mean, it's starting to it's going to get easier, but we still need to meet them and advise them. We still need to, set our foot down and show that we're there, because now more than ever, it's more important now. So,
Okay.
you go ahead. It's all you.
All right. Well, so you wanted to meet with me today, Boyd?
Yes.
Okay. Something about sovereign citizenship, or what is it?
Well, it's
I'm
not
really
sovereign
confused.
citizen. I'm not a sovereign citizen. Sovereign is it's an oxymoron. A sovereign citizen. A sovereign is self-governing, and citizen is governed. Can't use the 2 words together, but we are sovereign Americans, men and women. Just as we were born sovereign, and creation of the birth certificate took our sovereignty and made us U.S. citizens, which is what you are, and so that's we're lawful, we're peaceful, and we're in a totally different jurisdiction than you are.
Okay. Well, I hear that is this like an American state national? Because
Yes,
there's a lot
American
of
state
talk out there
national.
on the internet of how hostile you guys are, um and aggressive towards law enforcement. Crack your window 2 inches, don't want to cooperate, don't think you're above the law and the rules.
I don't believe that to be the case at all. I mean, the American state nationals know they're not above the law. American state nationals know where they stand on the land and soil and the jurisdiction they fall under, and they're very well educated about that, and they will stand firm because it's their rights. The Constitution has is a contract between the people and the government. And the government is not following that contract. It's being violated all the time, and it's unlawful. It just can't happen. I've
Hey,
looked
Boyd,
through.
you're muted.
Hello,
No, he's not. He's not muted.
Yeah, he's not muted.
hear
I
me?
saw in the chat, someone said they can't hear him, but we can hear him.
I can hear
Huh.
her.
Yeah.
Um,
Continue, guys.
where was I? What was I saying?
You were saying that
The Constitution is a contract with the people. And
Thank you,
Yes,
Lee.
yes, the contract between the people and the government is not following the Constitution. I mean, it's been violated for over 180 years. It's been put aside, and no one ever had the right to do that. It can't be done, and it's coming back. And the Constitution is going to be enforced, and it's going to be enforced by the people. The General Assembly is a court, common law, American common law, that is going to hold government responsible for their actions, for not following the Constitution, whatever. We're going to call the government out on those things. We're just giving you a heads up. And here's a friend to work with you, not against you, to move forward and do things lawfully and protect the people as you're supposed to, and everybody's going to be happy. That's what we're
Well,
doing. But not
how did all this
not
get
in any
started?
means, by no means are we violent. And I've never known
Okay.
an American state national to be violent. Now, there is some people that call themselves sovereign citizens, but it has nothing to do with American state nationals at all.
Well, how did all this get started? Why did you feel the need to become an
Now I
American
can't
state
hear you.
national?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
That's strange.
Can
I
you
can hear
guys
you
hear me?
fine.
I can hear
Okay.
Chris.
what in the world?
I can hear you.
You can hear me now, Boyd?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. No, like
hello.
why is there a need? What made you want to
I can
become an
hear you. I can
American
hear you.
state national?
What made me want to become an American state national? I
Yeah.
retired from law enforcement in 2018. I was served 27 years. My last 8 years I was, and I want to you. I remember how it happened. It was
Hey,
President Trump
Boyd,
talking about. Can you hear me?
I
you're
can
breaking
now.
up a little bit.
Yeah, you're rubber
Yeah,
banding really bad, bud.
yeah.
Hold on. Maybe I'm gonna turn my video off. Is that better? Hello, can you hear me?
I
Hello.
think yeah, that's better.
Okay. In 2018, I retired from law enforcement. I watched a video. I came across it on YouTube. It was President Trump going to each country, and each country was just kind of giving up, and he was meeting with each president, showing them evidence that they had all their crimes videoed and taped, and they had all the evidence they needed, and they were done. So they kind of capitulated to Trump. And it brought me in, like, what in the world's going on? It just shocked me. So I started researching, and I found Indiana, and I started learning the difference between U.S. citizens and American state nationals. So, well, you know what? That's what's missing. All these years in law enforcement, 27 years. I mean, I've seen laws that are so ridiculous, I mean, just unbelievable that expect it to be enforced. And it's got to be unlawful. I tell myself that all the time. Never did I think the Constitution or Bill of Rights and all that stuff. Well, I mean, I started researching all of that, and I saw that we're not free. Slave systems corrupt. And if you start looking back to where this system started, the entire system is demonic. It is completely demonic. And
Well,
it's
what proof
sad,
do
but
you
it's
have,
true.
Boyd? This
It's
sounds
hard to
crazy.
believe, but if you do the research, you'll learn yourself that it's demonic. Because it's there for anyone to learn it and see it.
What proof do you have
And
here,
I
Boyd? It sounds
know,
crazy.
as a sheriff, you're demonic and you don't want to be demonic because I know you, and I know Louisiana, and they're mostly good people that just are in a messed up system. If they knew the truth, be there.
Well, this sounds crazy, Boyd. I mean, what proof do you have?
It does.
What proof can you
Okay,
show
you
me?
say it again. Was that?
What proof can you show me, Boyd? I mean, this sounds crazy.
I have a packet here with all the information you could possibly need. That might take you a few days to read it, but you can
Yeah, but who
research
put
the
this
laws that
together?
I'm telling. Was that?
Who put this together? I mean, you and your buddies who are
Well,
other sovereign citizens just
the
in their
actual
basement
law put it together because it's
tapping away.
case laws. It's Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court decisions, rulings on cases that they've had go before the court that shows that the system's unlawful. It's fraud. Um, and you'll be able to research and just don't go by my writings. What's on here, look it up, in the law books or your law books, and it's going to say the same thing.
Well, this one right here, Boyd, I'm looking at Thompson versus Smith. It says 1929. Your
Uh-huh.
right to travel without freely on highways and byways. I mean, you're talking 1929. It's 100 years ago. We're not. This is 2025. I mean,
Correct. What's the difference between now and then?
well, it seems outdated, doesn't it? No one's riding around in horse and buggy anymore.
If it's a Supreme Court decision, it's not outdated. It's in law. It's just the way it goes. And there's more recent cases that prove that you have the right to travel and you don't need a license. There's numerous of them. And here lately, I don't have it, but here lately, I can get it for you. There was a Supreme Court justice. Oh God, I don't know his name, but he just had a ruling that's talked about the right to travel, right to bear arms. He listed a bunch of them, and he sent out a memo. And I don't have it, but I can get it to you, and I will get it to everybody on this call because I just remembered that. It's the one that Trump's close to. He's the one that wrote out the memo. But I know I
That's
have it. I
great.
just need to find it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I appreciate that. I would like to read more about this. I mean, so you guys have sheriffs? I mean, being land and soil, I hear you talk about your justice and you have
We
courts.
do. Mhm.
Who's your sheriff and what
Each
role do I play?
each county parish has an assembly also, and that assembly chooses the sheriff on the land and soil jurisdiction, and they choose a justice for their court,
Who's
and
electing? Who's choosing? Who's
the people of the assembly, the members of the assembly are the
no
voters.
qualifications? Like they could be just anybody from under a
They
bridge.
need to be an American state, national, or state citizen
Okay. How about
to
weapons?
vote on the
Like, do
land
they
and
know how to
soil.
fire a gun? Do they know how to do any of this stuff? I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. I had to go to
Well,
several trainings. Not only
that's
that, I had to have a 4-year degree. I've had
mhm.
to go through the police academy. I've had to do a lot of stuff. And
I know in Louisiana, the requirement to be sheriff is you have to be 18 years old. That's it.
I just
So
have to be 18
that
years old to
can,
become
I
a sheriff
mean,
on Louisiana.
that's correct, 100%. And that's a lot of places. That's a lot of places. I
And
mean, you
that is
don't
de
know
facto.
as if so correct.
Okay,
That's
well,
there's
I
it's
just know how
18.
hard I've
I don't even think you
worked.
need a high school diploma. Huh?
I
Was
just know
that?
how hard I've worked. I mean,
Hmm.
from what I understand is the way it sits now, I'm the highest order on this county. And
Hmm.
um, I've gone through extensive training and
Hmm.
weapons training, continual education with other stuff,
Hmm.
drugs, dogs, trafficking, and you have another guy over here. And I mean, so what role is that? I mean, I know that I'm in a different jurisdiction according to what you're saying, and I'll
Hmm.
look into this, but um who is this? I mean, what role is he going to have if we're both in the same county? Who's like what roles do we play? Do we share the sheriff role?
The sheriff on the land and soil jurisdiction is a peacekeeper, and you are a law enforcement officer. The peacekeeper is there to make sure the people's rights are protected, protect their property and themselves. We don't write tickets. We don't do traffic. There's no victims. You know, that's another thing. No victim, no crime. De facto is always about victimless crimes or a crime. You know, 70% or 60% of the population of the jails are victimless crimes. And under American common law, it's not a crime. So they're actually in jail unlawfully. And you can look that up too. And it's in the packet I gave you, page 7. And it talks about the whole deal about the prisons and the population and why they're so populated. It's all because of victimless crimes.
Well, let me
So
give you an
the
example here,
sheriff on the land
Boyd.
and soil is the superior authority. That's something you're gonna have to understand also, is the superior authority as the peacekeeper in the parish county. So if it's something your office is at and the sheriff gets there on the land and soil, it's his scene. He's in charge of that situation. So we're gonna need to make it clear to, you know, the deputies and what have you. Uh, and you're gonna see that your sheriffs are gonna be elected on the land and soil, and it's gonna be published in public record in the newspaper locally. So you can look that up too. They'll have copies to bring to you or whatever when they meet you, but they will come introduce themselves when they do have an election in your parish or county.
Okay, now a couple questions. I mean, can I qualify as a land and soil sheriff? I mean, not to say I have a big ego, but I don't want somebody else telling me what to do. I've been on this county my whole life, and I have a heart for
Right.
this county.
And I understand that. Right now, I can't answer that question because I asked that question to someone and they were going to give it some thought. I don't think it's been addressed like it should be, but the last I've heard was if you're an elected sheriff, then you can't come on the land and soil because you're still elected in that position. You would have to resign, status correct, then come to your county assembly and run for office. And if you're elected, you're elected. If you're not, I don't know.
But there's no pay
So,
for this. So I mean, I don't know if I could do this. But the other
well, there's
question,
no pay now, but there will be pay. And it's going to be paid very soon.
okay. Well, the other question is if you know, if you don't believe in statutes and codes and if there's no victim, no crime, how do you feel about your daughter going to school and there's a 15-mile-an-hour speed zone during school hours and someone's going 95 through the school
Thank
zone?
you, baby.
Yeah, they didn't hit anybody. They didn't kill anybody. But
Mhm.
what, how would you respond to that?
I would wring their neck. No, I'm joking. Uh, you know, if there's no victim, there's no crime, and that's been stressed to me, and it's clear in the law. They have not violated the law unless someone is injured, hurt, so forth. So um, that's something that's going to be toyed with, I'm sure, for a while because we're all so state statutes, speeding tickets, reckless operation, all that stuff. You know, it's not crimes, just like possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of narcotics is not a crime. There's no victim.
Whoa,
It's the truth.
whoa.
It is the truth.
Sorry,
It's
guys, I
something,
fucked
but it's
up.
true.
Oh, this is
Bobby.
Bobby here. What's up, Bobby?
Oh,
Now, distribution of narcotics is a crime because you have a victim, but not possession. Under common law, it's not. And
I mean, I
do I
understand.
agree? Maybe I don't agree so much about that, but because I mean, drugs will screw up a lot, and that's my pet peeve. I have a can't stand it, but um, it should be a
Well,
crime.
drugs with the intent to distribute, that's where the crime comes into place.
That's right. distribution.
you know, yeah, and marshals will be all over that. And
Possession,
sheriffs.
you want to harm yourself, so be it. It's on you.
Yeah, yeah. But I just have an issue, Boyd, with you saying no victim, no crime when a car is flying through at 95 through a school
Mhm.
zone. But I mean, we could discuss that later. I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate you coming down
Yeah,
and talking to me
yeah.
and
It,
sharing
it's
all this information. It's a lot of information. All of
mhm.
my superior friends that have retired and other deputies. I mean, we all think that this is a bunch of people that think they're above the law, people running from the law
Mhm.
with past histories that want to start fresh. And I just I'm just not too sure about it right now.
Right.
I hear
Yeah,
you're
I can.
peaceful. I've got to know you a few times. You've come in until I finally agreed to have this meeting, but I just I don't know. It's going to take some time. And who's this lady you were mentioning? Did you mention a lady who's leading this? I mean, how did you even hear about any of this?
Anna,
Anna? Okay.
did I say Anna?
Uh,
She's the fiduciary for the United States of America and for
okay.
the banking system, Global Family Bank. Um, she works for, she's the head of the federation. Her and her husband is the head of state. That's also in my packet. You'll be able to look at and read about that, and her website's on there. American State National's website's on there. The Louisiana Assembly's website's on there, and PKTF is on there also.
You
Um,
say federation. I mean, I just want to laugh. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? Federation,
well,
confederation? Like, what the hell is this?
the federation is standing and are seated, I guess, for some time now. The exact date is in the packet I put together. Um, it's been kind of set aside for it's like 180 years that uh, they changed over and stopped making it a federation. It was all corporations. It's you can get deep into. I mean, it's all corporations, all governments are corporations. Okay, which you can find that on Dun Bradstreet. You see sheriff's office is on Dun Bradstreet, which is a corporation, which is a corporation. And
Boyd,
whenever
sorry to
you
interrupt you.
try to make that hello,
Yeah, Boyd, about 95%
can't
of what
hear.
you're saying is garbled. Can't hear it. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm having more time hearing y'all too. It's very low. I don't know why.
Can
Because
you all
I'm
read the captions? Can y'all see those?
No,
Okay. Only I can see them.
it's just rubber banding.
I just put the captions on, Louise.
Okay. I mean, at the bottom of the
what's going on.
screen, we put the captions on because Boyd was kind of rubber banding to see if
Okay.
we can follow him better.
I don't know what it is. But all governments are corporations. And when you choose to be a corporation, you lose sovereignty, and that's changed everything. It's people are sovereign. Americans are sovereign. You're not. Sovereign people are the governing authority, you can say. They are the makers of law. Your laws, state statutes, codes, ordinances, and you'll see in the packet on page, I think it's 15 or 16, which states that all of your statutes, code, and ordinances, this is said by the Supreme Court of the United States of America, are for corporations, their employees only. So it's not for the American people. Your statutes, code, and ordinances are not enforceable on the American people. And it's happening every day. Doesn't make it lawful. It's unlawful. It's being committed on the right of the people. That's what sheriffs need to understand. And y'all don't know this. That's why I'm to help y'all understand this and kind of self-correct, and stop violating people's rights and committing these crimes because people are learning about this. Everyone's gonna know about this. And if y'all don't self-correct, it's gonna come down on y'all. And I'm trying to avoid that. We're trying to work with y'all and help y'all move forward with us so we can all be a one team to make America free, peaceful, and just, not worried, not have the worries of being watched by the police and harassment, and because it's just not right, and just read page 16 and it makes it clear. That's from the Supreme Court, that what I'm telling you is 100% true. And you can
I get
research it
that,
on
but I
your
mean,
own. Don't use some type documents. Just do research and you'll see that.
well, I get that, Boyd. Thank you. I'll look into this, but I mean, come on, let's think about this. 400 million U.S. citizens now becoming American, thinking they're above statutes, no registrations on vehicles, no driver's license, and the private can't track anything, can't trace anything. I mean, sounds like the wild, wild west. I mean, what do you envision happening?
Why would you want to track and do all of that anyways? I mean, what purpose? I was an investigator for about 16 years, 17 years. The tracking deal, it's, as I was a law enforcement officer, I'm trying to get my words right. I've done
So,
things as an officer that is not right because, it's just because of the system. It's the right because the system says it's right, but morally, it's not right, you know, and it is actually not right lawfully, and that the American common law and your statutes is two different horses. One is the lawful God's way and the other is the other way. And it's all in this packet. If you sit down and read this packet, your questions are going to be answered 100%. Anna's helping me put this together. She did this over. We've done it together. She's very knowledgeable. She's works with President Trump and his administration. She issues international notices to them. They respond. They follow them because the people are the authority now. It's clear as day. And the law also states that. It's always stated that. It's just been fraud ever since the governments took over and just had the stronghold and the courts, and it's gotten out of hand, and that's changing now. It's over. And we just want you to come into the right side, and make those changes. And like I said, here's a friend here to help you, bring this light to you so you can make a decision. But it's all here. And if you don't self-correct, I can't promise you what's going to come in the long run. I don't know, but I mean, it's not going to be good from what I've understood. There's going to be some things being handed down because the law is the law. Our founding fathers created it, and it's the law, God's law, the
I hear you, Boyd. I got
American
one
common
last
law.
question.
Mhm.
One last question is, without registration, a lot of my buddies, crack up about this with these sovereign citizens running their mouths saying they don't pay taxes, this and that. Who the hell's going to pay for the roads and the potholes? No one's paying registration.
Uh-huh.
And no one's paying taxes. How are we going to be able to move around freely and smooth asphalt instead of
Right. The
potholes?
taxes you pay now. You have any idea where they go,
Yeah, I got to give them to the IRS.
and you know where they send them?
Yeah,
To
I
the
mean,
to the
I
Queen, to the
actually support
King in
the weird
England.
Philippines you know,
Yeah.
no, I mean, no, I'm doing that or else I'll have, you know, some insane SWAT team showing up from third party that's unlisted and demanding I pay them and pay the IRS. Or
Mhm.
else they're gonna seize all my assets, my house, take my family,
Right.
kill my
Right.
dog. They just killed my dog before,
Mhm.
killed my buddy's dog trying to get over to his house because he
Right.
evaded
Well,
taxes.
the income taxes is voluntarily. So if you wish to pay them, you go right ahead. I choose not to,
I
but
get it,
it's a
but how are the
voluntary
roads gonna
system.
be paid? How are we gonna
It's
get all that stuff?
14% sales tax on new items only, like new car, new house only. If it's an old car, an old house, taxes. That's what's going to happen. Um, but sales tax in the store and little things like that. There's no more sales tax on groceries. That's coming. But in the government, it's going to be, as y'all can see on TV, it's going to be a lot less people than what there is now. It's going to be
Well,
down to hardly not much.
yeah, but how are we going? What's going to happen with the roads if no one's paying registration?
We're going to pull them out.
Well, what I've heard,
There's
Boyd,
plenty. There's plenty
now that
money.
people,
There's
I
plenty
heard
money
that it's like
collected.
gas taxes that we all pay a 60% tax on gas. And
I have
again,
no. I don't know
I have
anything
no
about
idea either. That's what I hear, and
Yes,
that's what
fuel
Mhm.
taxes paid for the road.
yeah. But and this is the stuff that I'm saying that we should have proof of. Like, where the hell do I find them?
Mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. We need to have
I
certain
don't know.
documents with all those questions you coming out with. We would, I
60
don't, and then Boyd
60%.
told you to read all this stuff. Now, all his documents, we don't know what's in those documents, but those could be the
I'm
questions,
going to send it
the
to you.
answers to the questions that you said. So Boyd,
Yeah.
while you at that meeting, you mentioned before you
He's
started that
going
you
to have
showed them in the
right.
document where to read as you telling them the answers. Maybe that
I,
we can't do that
I
on
give them.
virtual,
I
but
give them. I give them a
Mhm.
packet, and I have a packet. And I, when
Mhm.
I'm speaking about something, I have it open to that page, and I'll tell them, look on page 16. You know,
Mhm.
this is what I'm talking about, and this is where it's at. And that's straight from the founding documents, or wherever I could, the Constitution, or wherever it comes from. And they can research the Constitution and read it. It's going to say word for word. You
So is it
know,
like
that's what it
Library of
is.
Congress, or where are you getting this?
Uh, I have a Constitution book that I get, and I recommend everybody get one. It's pretty good. They're free. You can get them at Hillsdale College. There's just a little application you filled out with your address, your name, and they're gonna mail you one for free. No strings attached. It has the Declaration of Independence, Constitution of the United States in it.
So here, let me throw another one at you real quick. So I've just researched Anna Von Wright, this lady you just mentioned, and I've gone to her website. It looks like it's 1998, and there's some articles of her opinion and very little references. Um, what are you talking about? Like, just because, it's stated here, and I mean, this sounds so far-fetched. Where is she getting this information?
Mhm.
I mean, it
She's
sounds
get
great. Everybody should sign up. Everybody should come on
right,
board.
right.
But
That's
where
right.
the hell is she getting it? I mean, it
It's the
sounds too good to
history.
be true.
It's the history. Anybody can research it and get that same information. She's just saving you the research. But I suggest you do research and get your own truth, you know, and figure it out for yourself. I can come here and sit and tell you this is what it is, but you don't have to take it. But if you look it up, it's going to be your own. Just look it up and you know, make it your own truth.
But
But it's
everything I've
because
been
it's
seeing
well
about
worth it.
American
It's well
State
worth
National,
looking. Was
everything, the
that?
first thing that on American State National, police1.com pops up and says we're all crazy, or you guys are all crazy.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I mean, and now
That's
how
right.
the hell am I gonna search and find out that, like,
Hmm.
the Pope is corrupt, and
Right.
you got the British Accreditation Registry as the bar, and doing all this corruption, and that they own
You
everything?
can
Like,
look up on the what is it? The International Court. Shoot, what's the name of it? National Court. A bunch of court about Pope and others. It's all there. And the back to Anna's articles, you can research any of that in the country and see what she's saying is true. And I research everything. I'm still looking it up on one for myself because you don't always hear the truth from somebody. This which they around. I research everything. Everything that I've read from Anna, I researched to see for myself and saw that she's right. You know, there's not one article that I've and looked at them all, and I've researched them all, but everyone I have has been 100% correct. You know, um, she's right. She's right about the whole thing. You know, and the Louisiana Assembly and the 50 states of the Union, the civilian government, the government of authority, made by the people, of the people, and government. You are a service provider for us. That's That's what
You're
it
rubber banding again.
is. Maybe I should throw his phone in the trash.
Yeah, you in and out there. Mhm.
Man,
I know it's getting late
I
for
don't know.
No,
everybody.
you're good.
Kathy had to
You're
go,
good.
so I'm gonna
Man, I hope
moderate
everything's
right
okay.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Police One, hang on. Let me say something about Police One. Police One, I wrote them a letter, like a nasty letter.
Good. I was wondering about this because I follow that lady who wrote the
Yeah,
article on LinkedIn
yeah,
just to keep an eye on things.
yeah. I wrote her a nasty letter and just clearly made out the laws, what they say. I said, now write a story on this. Speak the truth if you're gonna speak it. Write a story on this. And I told her I was retired law enforcement 27 years, and I said, you're lying to the people and you're gonna cause harm to the officers. That's all you're doing by lying. They ignored it, I guess, because they sure didn't do anything.
Well, they're also still teaching criminal law degrees, and who knows what the hell they're
Yeah,
teaching right now.
yeah.
I mean,
Hear
so
talking in the background, and I hear him talking about right. He's he's talking about everything that's going on, the Republic. Uh, so
what, right now
I
you
think
have
he's
the
making the
State of the Union
announcement.
on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
in the
mean,
other room. I can hear it. The TV's kind of loud, and he's doing
okay.
like a State of the Union address to the.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Needy, did you have a question? I see your hand up if you want to.
I just wanted to make a comment, if it's okay.
Sure.
In the discussion that you guys are having, you're looking for where does Anna get the information that she's talking about? So in her drill assembly handbook in section 3, she says, this is not my opinion. What I am pointing out to you and everyone else is not a topic for argument. It isn't my opinion. It's the way the world's court system has been organized for centuries. And just because 99% of Americans are too ignorant to know that and have been deliberately kept dumbed down to learn it does not make it any less true or factual. So I encourage everybody to read section 3 when you are meeting, like before you go to meet with the sheriff, then when they're asking you about this, then you can, everything that she has written in that Drill Assembly Handbook, they can research it back and find it wherever. It's easier for them
Oh yeah,
to just
absolutely.
go and learn how the court system's been organized. Like that's a simpler way for them to search a fact than, some of these other things like the Pope and whatever. Those are very difficult things for people to really just like look up really quickly. And so it might help to get them to pay more attention. Just that one point, like this is the way the court
Yeah,
system
yeah.
works.
That's it.
So
That's
with that,
always
I
been.
yield.
The another thing is I don't know if anybody used Chat GPT.
Mm-hmm.
Basic things. It's really good. If you type in there American Common Law, I created a chat for American Common Law, and I uploaded the General Assembly book and some other American Common Law books. So you just ask it pretty much any question, and it's going to answer you. It's easy to research that way. Um, but if you want some out of the General Assembly book, say research in the General Assembly handbook, this, and it's going to just spurt it out to you.
And this is OpenAI?
It's Chat GPT.
Yeah, okay. So it's not like PKTF website
No,
in-house
no, no.
AI.
Mm-mm.
It's like the
It's
main.
Chat GPT,
Okay.
American Common Law. And you'll see
Okay.
my name, Boyd Adams, on there. It's free. I mean, it's doing
Okay.
research, it's quick. And I uploaded it so I know it's right.
Okay. So
Okay.
if we don't have any, we can take questions right now, guys, can we?
Sure.
Sure.
I'm gonna start with my first one and anybody else who have any before we get off of here. So the first question is, well, what if your sheriff refuses to meet with you? How do
Then
you
you just
handle
don't
that?
meet with him. There's nothing you can do. You'll just learn the hard way.
Mhm.
You know, and when you're going to run for sheriff, you're going to send him notice that you're on the land and soil, and that's it.
All right.
And you can send him notice that you're the assembly standing. Every assembly should have done that, but I'm sure by now.
Mhm.
Send the notices out to the sheriffs.
Okay. Mhm. Now, can you explain, Boyd, what would be the objective of the liaison to meet with the sheriff? What does he want to accomplish at the meeting?
At the meeting, you want to accomplish that you are make it known that you're peaceful, that you are standing in a different jurisdiction as them, and that their jurisdiction has nothing to do with ours and they can't step into our jurisdiction. But they may want to start self-correcting, let them know that what they're doing is unlawful, maybe legal on their side, but according to the Constitution, it's unlawful. A lot of things they do. They may want to start learning about that, researching it. And this book I have, I'm going to make a copy, put a copy on my email and I'll send it out. If y'all want to email me, y'all's email address, I can send everybody a copy of it. And it's going to have everything we've talked about, the answers that they can possibly ever ask you, the answers in this book. And if they look through the book, it's going to be clear. I mean, they're going to start squirming. They're going to have meetings, the sheriffs. I mean, I'm seeing it happen in Louisiana. They're meeting, they're talking, look, this is the real deal. And then they're starting to see things talk on the news. And so it's all starting to come into play. I think it's going to happen and our job's going to get a lot easier pretty soon. I really do believe that. But we just want to let them know that we're here lawfully. We are the superior authority on the land and soil where they operate fraudulently under the maritime law. That's more or less all you want to do.
Do you have the PDF of this document you have right now? You got to get it.
I have to scan it. It was on my old computer. I lost it, but I have it all here. I'm going to scan them and make it and send it out. I'll send it to you and Kathy and whoever emails me. If you want to email I'll put the email in the chat. Hold on one second.
Okay. Anybody else got any more questions before we call it a night? Now we're going to have more scenario training and stuff like that. Boyd and I are working on an actual training for the peacekeepers before we get launched on the resurgence project of how the questions we're going to be asking, the documents we're going to be taking with us, and that type of thing, those types of things at these meetings with the de facto when we do go out. But we need to get clear on what exactly we're going to be saying and what we want to accomplish when we leave. And we do understand that it's probably going to take more than one meeting. So we're not expecting magic on the first meeting. So let me go through some of these hands. I see Tim on Colorado.
Yes, I had a question for Boyd on his travel document. He mentions the bond. I believe it's the one that Anna put there for the United States, and then at the end it has -Louisiana. Is there a separate bond for each state that we should be referencing?
You just put your state in that spot.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Robert.
And yes. I'm coming in from Salt Lake City, Utah. I got arrested just like the guy that was talking about the situation. I spent the night in jail right here in Salt Lake City, just a few miles south of where they killed that young kid. So, but I figured out how to keep myself alive. So long story short, I do have a question. I would like to get the travel packet, all the paperwork that Boyd is talking about. It looks like there's a bunch of other people who sent their emails in, and also, is there a study packet? I studied 2 master's degrees working for the military, strategic analysis and military diplomacy. So what I'm getting at is there a repository where we can read all this? And I want to share everybody else. I am a specialist in how to navigate through the courts here in Utah. I'm actually the clerk of the court. I'm the clerk of the assembly court here in Utah State. So I'm trying to educate myself as much as possible. And as we all know, we'll never get there unless we read and study and analyze for ourselves. So I'm looking for as much reading material as possible. And also, I would like to establish a link between this group and our group here and our assembly here in Utah. Our marshal at arms is Johnny Hatton. He's the guy who gave me the link for this. So I'd like to establish a link for all of our Utah people who are interested to assimilate and participate with this group. I yield. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'm
Robert.
making study guides for each position, like clerk,
Study
justice,
guide.
yeah,
Exactly. Nice.
justice, militia. But which one did I send you?
Mm,
Louise, I don't remember, but
liaison, militia,
officers, peacekeepers.
yeah, officer,
Yeah,
peacekeepers.
peacekeepers.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, it's like 80
And
pages. One of them.
I want to offer this to everybody else. I pay $100 every year for an unlimited cloud storage. Unlimited. So if anybody wants to PM me with their email, I can make anybody an unlimited cloud folder. You can store anything you want on there. So that's why I asked you, would you please send me any and all information? I will archive it and make a special folder for everybody can look at it.
Sure. That's great.
Now, Robert,
Okay.
on Utah, do you all have a liaison, PKTF liaison?
We don't have necessarily a liaison at this point. Our main positions are functioning as the liaison because we're the only ones that are active. Johnny Hatton is active and I'm active. And our coordinator, her name is Deanne Moore. She's quite active as well. So we could set up a liaison per se. Now, I'm sorry, better question is, what do you mean by a liaison?
Okay, so you mentioned that you wanted a connection from your assembly to this group. So
Yes.
that connection is called a PKTF Assembly Liaison. A person who
Okay.
is going to be your representative of your assembly in the PKTF organization. So that the
Yeah, I will.
communication from here to you goes to that person.
Thank you. Great idea. If Johnny hasn't nominated himself, I will now nominate myself for our Utah Assembly. And eventually we'll get somebody else who will fulfill that formal position. But I'll volunteer at this moment right now for Utah State.
If you go on PKTF's website, you'll be able to find there's an application that you fill in. It's just your name, address, stuff like that, in the assembly that you have interest in. It's going to notify us, and
I
somebody will
love
be
it.
in touch with you.
I'll do it and I'll put my name on there unless Johnny Hatton's already done it. He's our marshal at arms, but he and I are hand in hand in this.
Right. All right. I recommend every state have it because, I mean, since I became part of PKTF as a liaison, and I'm also executive secretary for the PKTF, I've gotten more information to help our assembly move forward. It's unbelievable. I mean, just the progress we've made since I've been here.
Absolutely. And how does that happen? Knowledge. Once we learn and analyze that's when we make progress. Once we study and figure it out for ourselves.
That's correct. That's correct. We all in this together. We all as one team.
Exactly, right? Hey,
To
I'm an
help each
honorary
other
Cajun. I
move
got a buddy
forward.
in New Orleans. I'm honorary Cajun, my friend. I'm honorary Louisiana. I was
There
born
you
in
go.
Missouri too. So I claim Missouri. I'm a Southern boy.
I'm 100%
Robert.
Kunas, that's for sure.
There you go. That's it. We're all Kunas if we want it.
That's it.
Voila,
That's
there
it.
we go.
All right. So if you're interested in the liaison for your assembly, just go to the pktfnews.org site, and there's about halfway down the page, it says to enroll in liaison. It's a banner across the screen, a little
Excellent.
small banner. All
I'll
right.
do it.
So
Thank you.
last one we have is Derek. Can't hear you, Derek. You muted.
There you go. Y'all, I'm Derek on North Carolina. I was just out of curiosity, you get pulled over, you get a ticket, whatever, you accept the ticket. I know you gotta seek remedy and at least get these, swindlers off your tail. Is it bad practice to just go ahead and slap them with their own rules and remind them of, bring the contract back to the table and no contract, no consent, and send them the ticket off certified? Is it bad practice to use their UCC codes against them just to remind them of their own rules?
Absolutely not. It's good practice. That's a good thing. That's what I do. and it works.
10-4. Yeah, I had an example. I'm not going to share the story, but yeah, I did a 72-hour recension and it's gone. It's not on my record. Nothing's there.
That's it.
I just wanted
That's
to
it.
know if it's good practice if you have to do that in those times of need.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I would say there's different approaches. Of course, you can handle everything. So I like your approach there, Derek. I don't want to contract, period. I don't want to send
Right.
you a conditional acceptance or anything. I want to use that 3-day window and send you back your offer and say, no, I don't want to contract with you, period.
That's it.
So
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
That's
Thank you.
done.
Okay, well, that's the last question. We
right.
will make sure, Boyd and Chris, you all have something last to say, final to say?
Nope, I'm done. I'm done.
No,
Thanks
thank you, Boyd. Would love to connect with
Uh-huh.
you more about Joe. It's so funny. You sound just like Joe Hayes. And but to talk about our credentials cards, because
Mhm.
I've actually found some printers that actually print our de facto driver's license and passports, or passport cards. And so it's a little different than just the little printer with the name badge that you guys,
Right.
the PKTF was currently thinking, because that's the biggest
Mhm.
thing. And like Bobby, I know he's not on here, but being an ex-cop, looking the part really takes you a little bit further
Mhm.
in the meantime, like when it doesn't
Right.
look so cheap.
Mhm.
And so looking at that, and then I really liked how Joe was talking about having our little like stickers on the plate, and then if they already pulling
Mhm.
up, they should already come up to the door and say, hey,
Mhm.
hello, Christopher, like let me see your credentials card, just want to verify it's you and not stolen, something.
That's right.
But we'd
Right.
love to connect to you more on that, because it's kind of my
Sure.
specialty. And I think practicing more like this
Mhm.
would help
Yeah,
all of us,
I think so.
especially when we're having to go meet de facto face to face,
Mhm.
and also dress appropriately, probably in
Right.
brown, not black, but
I'm gonna
anyways.
get this book to Louise. She probably has all y'all's contact, and
Mhm.
to get it out to y'all, because this is it works great for me. And I've met with probably 30, 40 sheriffs already, and
Oh, that's great.
the response is great. I mean, I've been doing it for
Hey,
almost 2 years, and I'm retired. I don't have much else to do.
okay.
Okay, so we will
Solid.
get out to you the material that Boyd has on the, do you want to send out the travel pack and the manual that
Yeah,
you?
I'll
Okay.
I'll send it all to you. Two separate things.
Okay, and we will get it out to everybody on the call, and if you don't get it within the next, say, 3 days, then just email me and I'll make sure it gets to you. All right?
All right.
Anything else before we go? Let's say good night.
Good night. That's all I got.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you for
night.
Good
coming.
night.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Mhm.